LinkedIn, Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, how you doing, Amy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm excited for tonight. We got a great guest here, and I think everybody knows this gentleman now. You're pretty popular on LinkedIn, Andre. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. And
Oh,
hi, LinkedIn. Love you guys.
yeah. So I've been with you now for almost like I thought about it. It's like 6 years I've known you, even
Wow.
right before COVID and everything like that.
Wow.
That's when all the fun started. So everybody knows the drill. Please feel free to ask questions tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about leadership, but we'll be right back after this video. I still love it every time. Every time. That gets you so pumped up. Now, I really want to thank you, Andre, for coming on tonight. I know you're busy. I always see you on LinkedIn on all the videos. I still look at your shoes because Amy, you should see now that I said that, Amy, when you look on LinkedIn, you got to look at us when he does his shows and all his training. He's got sometimes flip flops, Crocs. I don't know what they are.
No,
Not
no
Crocs.
flip flops, no
Yeah.
Crocs, all
Nope.
fashionable men's shoes.
Okay, actual men's shoes. We'll go from there. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. Hey, real quick before we start here about your son. I'll tell you what, that kid can throw.
Oh,
Mason, whoa,
thank
what?
you so much. He has worked so hard over the years on his craft. You never have to
Wow.
tell him to do it or do more. And it's just an honor to watch him delve into it and then now have the opportunity his senior year, and just the way he then speaks to the media, how he picks up his team and how he leads is as impressive as he's been playing. But there's always
Man.
things to fine tune. So I'm so excited for week 2 to see the leap he takes.
No,
Thank
so anybody go on Andre's page and you're going to see it sometimes because you put it on there on Facebook. And what college is Mason in? What is he? What?
Oh, he's a senior in high school.
Oh, high school. I thought he
So
went to
he's going
college.
through the recruiting process now. And
Wow,
it's been
Jesus,
very exciting. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
man.
lot to be proud of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you can watch that, and I want some of those videos. I'm like, woo! You zoom right on there. I love it. So, all right, sir, you got to tell us. Introduce yourself, Andre, and then we're gonna talk about what you got coming out because there's a lot of things you're doing.
Oh, well, yes. Well, I'm Andre Young, professional speaker, author, leadership trainer, and founder of my company, You Evolving Now. Everything that I do is enhancing leadership and work life harmony. I'm big on enhancing communication, connection, culture, and results. David
Right.
and Amy, I always tell everybody you can have great communication, connection, and culture, but if you're not getting results, somebody's going to get fired, and if you're the leader, it's going to be you.
Right.
Um, and if all you're getting is results, but you don't have those other 3 C's, then you're going to have a lot of turnover and eventually some things to answer for if you work in a good enough company.
That's what it is because you have a. I like how you always would say your background. You've been there and done it. you know, he's been there and done it all, Amy. He's like you always say, "I'm one of those bad employees." I was all one of them, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I
At one
love it.
time, I was a very good employee. Another time, I was the worst, and I worked in mental health. So it's been a great collaboration of experiences to help other people.
You got it. We got Steve on tonight. Remember Steve? I know you do that.
Yes,
And
yes.
Rob, when he found out today, I text him. He's just make sure I'm there. Make sure I'm there. He's always going on. So I want to talk about naturally. I was mad because I only found one of your book. I got the one here, the Leader's Toolbox, which that was this was still my favorite right here. You have the 7 ways to lead, that
Yes,
came
sir.
out, right? That was out last year or the year before?
That was out 2 years prior to the Leader's Toolbox.
Okay, and now you got your third coming out in October this year.
Yes, that is called The Complete Leader. And I look at all of these books, and if you've ever written a book, you know they're all your kids. It's like the closest thing as a man for me giving birth to something. Um, but I now understand which each book is for. So every book could be for everyone. However, Seven Ways to Lead, my first leadership
Yeah.
book, I would say that could be for emerging leaders, frontline. You could be unemployed. It's for everybody who wants more motivation, personal leadership skills, and it has some leadership skills to effectively lead and run a team. It's also featured my Leader Seven, the seven professional languages of leadership, very much like those five love languages. And I tell people all the time, I love Gary Chapman. I love that book and the premise. But if I go physically touching on people at work the way I'm talking about it, and I'm going to end up in HR and get fired. Like that's so a lot of times those love languages, it doesn't cross over as neatly. So these seven languages for work have really, been an asset of what I get to teach. The Leader's Toolbox. Are you in middle management?
Right.
And a lot of times, I tell people all the time, look, the C-suite and senior leaders are the face of the company for middle management.
Right.
Middle management is the face of the company for front line, and the front line is the face of the company for the world. Middle managers would love the Leader's Toolbox. And then senior leaders in C-suite, complete leader, it really tackles everything at a more higher level. But again, anybody can pick it up if you want to lead.
How do you, Andre? How do you? I mean, when you've done the two books, you're now going your third. We've always talked about, how you still evolve. I love that word. I've always used it. And how do you gain all this knowledge? I mean, is it just from talking to all the people when you do your trainings, when you go, you see on, anybody can go on your Facebook and go onto your LinkedIn and see where you travel. Do you ever get stunned on something? Do you ever get like,
It was one time that I wasn't really stunned. It was more, you want to give a right answer so people don't get in trouble taking what you share back.
Yeah,
So it was, I was doing some work for the state of Missouri, the Office of Administration, and they had a smelly problem. So an employee wasn't smelling the best, and we're in the middle of role plays. And what I said was, listen, this is what I suggest, but I really strongly suggest you check with your HR department to get permission or protection to move forward.
right?
And I wanted to be able to protect them. And when I went home, I really came up with something in my, that I could answer better and still give them an answer. So I was able to do that. And there's no easy way to have that conversation.
No.
So, but you have to be able to have it. But I'm big on like, look, leaders come with solutions to their problems, a suggested
Right.
solution. So when you have a situation that's that sensitive, or you work in an environment that may be, and I'm putting quotes, toxic,
Right.
when you're not the end all be all decision maker, please go to a higher up to say, hey, here's my suggested solution. You can keep it indirect, or you can say the person's name. That depends on you and your relationship.
Right.
Here's my suggested solution. What do you like about it? And is there anything you would fine tune? The order of that all matters. I'm coming to you, not dumping my problem on your desk, number one. Number two, make
Right.
them say something good. If the leader above you says something that they like, you're going to typically get permission. Okay? Anything you would fine tune. Well, I know that person, and you probably want to change this or say this or that. Or you might want to protect yourself because this has happened. You don't know the history of the organization all the time. So now when you leave there, either you're going to have permission to move forward and do it, or you're going to protect their blind side when that person gets mad at you, goes over your head, barges into their office.
Their office.
Your boss saw them coming already. Our job as leaders is also to protect our boss's blind side if you're in that position.
And
That's
you know
what I
what,
mean.
Andre, I've found that and I've had those tough conversations about the smelly thing you're talking about. It's very uncomfortable. It will never get easy, and it's
Yes.
really all about the approach and delivery. and making sure that when you have something to say, is it truthful? Is it helpful? And just making sure that it's all in the best interest of the individual. And how can you help? And you have to have a genuine approach. For those that don't have a genuine or empathy, that will fall so flat. But really, in my classes, I teach the approach and delivery is either going to make or break. And that is a very sensitive, very uncomfortable, awkward conversation that is a must have.
Yep. And I found that that's probably one of the hardest conversations.
Yeah, it
And
is.
you mentioned something, Amy, a rule I had when I was a therapist, and I would use it for myself as well in personal life. Am I saying this for them or am I saying it for me?
For you.
If I'm saying it for me, I don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm saying this because, like you mentioned, if it's benefiting them, if it's helping them or now us move forward, I have to say it. Now, how we say it matters.
Right.
That is. Andre, how do you feel? What do you tell? I always ask this too. It's like, you see young supervisors, young people coming into leadership and everything like that. What kind of advice do you give to somebody new? Like when you do your training and everything like that, I'm sure you get somebody, the younger ones, like, listen, it's okay not to know,
Yeah.
but what do you say to them that are struggling, that are young, and, just put into that spot? That's a big thing.
Honestly, if there was two things that I would say, because there's so much to say, so you don't overwhelm. The one thing for communication, connection, and culture, I'm big on a leader's blueprint. Whether you're the connector type, you're the example type, and you're quiet, whether you're the intense type, you're the motivator type. I want to share. We always say, hey, come to us. So, Amy, come to me if you have to vent or you got a problem or my door is always open. Well, just because your door is open doesn't mean people come.
Right.
And then when they do come, if you're not attentive, they can't find you, or you're snapping people's heads off, then why would they continue to come? So I feel like a lot of leaders, we fail to tell our people how to best communicate with us.
See, that's
So the leader's blueprint is, number one, what's your method? You got to know what method you prefer for your people to come to you. For me, I am a chatty Cathy, chatty Carl. David, you come to my office for a 5-minute conversation, it can turn into an hour because I talk and we start talking. That happened 3 times in a day. Now that's half my day, and now I'm taking work home.
Right.
So for me, and I'm ADHD, I know that. So for me, it's an email. For somebody else, it could be the knock at the door, an email, Slack, whatever way or old school phone call.
Right.
I would get fired from a job if you gave me a work phone. I had a work phone one time. I like iPhones. They gave me an Android. So now every time I go to use it, I got to think about how to use it. Then it's in my bag. I don't know where it is. Well, why do you answer your phone? I don't have a good answer. It was awful.
Right.
So what method do you prefer? Then what's the first sentence that they can say that will get your attention? For me professionally, David, you come and say, hey, Dre, I got an idea that I think would help with ...
Right.
What do you like? And is there anything you fine tune? You got me. Now, whether we could do that here in 5 or 10 minutes, or because leaders protect their time, hey, I'm available Tuesday at 2:00.
Right.
You got me. And then third, what other information do you think I need? How much is it going to cost? What other departments need to be involved? What are some of the issues? Just come up with some other things so I have more information to help you.
Right.
So if you can do those 3 things, you're going to get the best version of me. And then it reverses. So David, when I have questions or concerns, how do you want me to come to you? What's your blueprint?
Right. That makes sense.
So as a new leader, if we can do that and let our people know, and then trust has to develop. The other thing that I would really say is you got to know where you're going and why you're going there. So your leader's 3. I always say to a leader, what's your vision for your team? Because you could get stuck just being busy.
Yeah.
Or you don't know how to delegate.
You know that, Amy.
Or you get stuck being busy, or you got promoted because you were good at your job and you're so busy trying to do your old job, you're not doing your new job. So what's your vision for your team?
Right.
And what are the 3 to 5 vision factors, the 3 to 5 things that when you do them or your team does them consistently,
Right.
the vision has to come true. Then what are your expectations and what are your rules? I
Right.
only employ or work with people that are positive, passionate, and productive. I need you to be that. And then one of my biggest rules is please be on time. We go back and forth in the email 3 or 4 times about the same thing. It's a mandatory
Over and over.
old school phone call, 10 minutes. And then please accompany your problem with a suggested solution.
And you got
Now,
it.
because leaders, you have to make your yeses powerful and your nos meaningful. And you can't do that if you don't know where you're going. So a great idea might not be its time if it's not fitting in those vision factors. So now
Right.
my no isn't personal, it's professional. Can you fit your idea inside these vision factors?
That's amazing.
I love what you're saying, just, kind of flying at that 60,000 foot view. And, for me being in operations and HR, I mean, I've got a good idea of like where the end result is and then how the pathway forward and how to get there, how best to get there. And so being able to go from the 60,000 foot view down to the ground level where everything happens, where the action is key, and knowing what level you need to be at and for how long, and then really making sure that your team knows that you do care. And that when somebody is in your office, do you have time for me? Well, yes, I always have time for you. Never answer your phone. Don't be checking your emails and texts.
I know.
Unless you're specifically waiting for a specific call, you can let them know, David, I'm going to apologize if this phone call comes in. I'm going to have to answer it. Just want to let you know. Otherwise, don't answer the phone. Like, be present, be there, and make sure that they know that they matter and they value, and then follow through. I mean, there's so many times that I've seen that you talk to somebody, you're giving them information, and then it falls flat. So there's just a lot of levels to being a leader, a good leader. So you mentioned something too about because you're great at your job doesn't mean necessarily you're always great at management. And I think that's where we as leaders need to really make sure that when we're promoting somebody who's really great at their job, do they have the ability to also lead people and work well? Can you play nice in the sandbox? It's that simple. But if they don't, they give them the tools, the training that they need to succeed. So it's so many layers to peel back. And, for me, I'm comfortable and confident in that. And so I love working with people to show them that. But to me, it's just, there's some basic fundamentals that need to happen.
And Amy, that was so perfectly said. When you choose to have the #1 canceled and rescheduled meeting across all organizations, your one-on-one meetings, and you mandate that your leaders, if you have leaders under you, your direct report is leading people, they need to have it too. And I talk about in my trainings how we have it. Like, what better way to get human to human and connect with your people and know where they are and not be ignorant to their list? You've rattled off in the past 3 weeks all of these things for them to do, but forgot how much you asked, and then how many favors they are doing for somebody else, and then the other things and fires they got going on. How do they even know what's a priority? They're working hard, but it may not be with what it is. It's astounding. I know why the meetings get canceled and rescheduled, but I argue, please do not do that. And if you have leaders leading under you, man, these meetings are mandatory. And when you do it in the right way, they're not intimidating, they're not long, they're not in the way, and it's not checking the box.
On the same page. There's a quote that you posted, and I read it probably like 10 times. It says, "A vision without expectations is simply hope. And expectations without consequences are merely suggestions." And I had to read it over and over. I'm thinking, all right, a vision without expectations. That makes total sense when you read it. And I just love that quote, how you put that up there.
Thank you. And I like to be clear when I share that, because I'm like, consequences doesn't always mean you're firing somebody, or it doesn't always have to be big. Sometimes the consequence is a difficult conversation.
Right.
It's something as a leader you don't want to have, they don't want to receive, but most people do know when they're wrong. And then some people don't know when they've messed up or made a mistake. So sometimes the consequence is a difficult conversation. Maybe the consequence is they're reseated. Maybe the consequence is that they're no longer a fit. Like whatever it is, something has
Right.
to happen or nothing will ever change.
Nothing changes. What do you feel under like for when did you realize, let me back it up. How do you teach can you teach leadership? And when did you realize when you wanted to get into what you're doing now, like as what you evolved with, what made you go, you
Yeah.
know what? This is what I want to do. You're passionate for that. But you also had to have the experience of it. So did it
Yeah.
start when you were younger or what went on with that?
That is so funny. Like, I didn't want to do this at all. I have no idea. I do know how it happened, but it was
Right.
complete accident. When I left mental health,
Yeah, you
when
were
I
there for a
burned
while.
out of the mental health profession, people think because I burned out and I was good, I was bad, I was a leader, that's how I got into this, and it's not. I went through a divorce around the same time that I was burning out. That was
Right.
a heck of a time. You could not pay me
Yeah.
enough money to go back to that time. And at the time, I wanted to create a men's organization where men and husbands can come, talk, discuss, and go home better. That's
Right.
what I wanted to do.
Love it.
The evolution of it came like, at first it started with friends and family. Then it was strangers, and it kept growing. And then strangers are in my living room, and that was weird. So I'm like, okay, that can't happen.
Love it.
So
Funny.
I went to my first networking event ever, like the old school shake hand networking, and wound up coming out with 3 new members and new space. So we're in cafes, and then now we have conferences, and then youth wanted it. So now we're
Love
on
it.
college campuses. Now women wanted it. We got a women's division. So it kept growing, but I fell out of love with how we had to get business. Every
Right.
time I left my house, somebody was an opportunity. And I found it one very frustrating. But then what I realized, the average individual walking around is not ready to do above average things. So why would they pay $14.99 a month to do something good
Right.
for themselves? Like when they can go to their son's game or have to get to a practice or do this. So I said my business has to go where people already are. They're at work, they're at school, and they're on their phones.
Nice.
Made the switch.
That's
I
the
gave
truth.
up good for great. Sometimes we have to give up good for great. And that's a hard thing as a leader to know what to scrap or evolve to move on from good to great.
Right.
And I brought it to smaller companies and then a bigger company, and I'm sitting in front of the CEO and more. And at the time, I was very heavy on personal leadership, relationships, work life harmony. And this is pre COVID.
Right.
And I will never forget, the man looked at me and said, "Well, this is great. How does this help us?" And it was such a sobering question because he liked it and it was all good. And at the time, I was focused on front line, and I realized that he wanted leadership. And I said to myself, I don't talk about leadership. And I went home that night and I looked at every bit of content I've written or created or videoed, and I realized I was talking about leadership.
Right.
I just never said the word. Guys listening, all I did at that time was add the word leadership. And then it evolved from there with my writing because I wrote once a week back then. So
Right.
I would write once a week, I would record, write once a week. And you ask me, where do I get my content? A lot of it comes from here. A lot of it comes from my mind. If you're listening,
Right.
I'm pointing. A lot of it comes from past experiences. A lot of it comes from listening to either my wife or my friends that are still in corporate world and working a
Yeah.
job, and whether they're high level or front line, some of the things they say, I'm like, oh my goodness, that really happened. And then I'm like, well, this is what I've done. This is what I teach, and I've been an employee, and I've been on all different. I've been the leader.
Right.
Then in my trainings, talking to different people and hearing what they are sharing as issues and concerns. And this one question continues to evolve my content. I meet with an organization and I say, what would you like to get out of bringing someone like me in? I'm not saying it might be me. Maybe I refer. I don't do everything.
Right.
That one question allows me to find out their pain. And either I have the medicine or I don't. But if I lead with my content, that'd be like you walking into a doctor's office and them handing you medicine before you told them what was wrong. You'd be like, "This is weird. Like, this is an odd doctor." So, because they've shared these things, I'm like, "Ooh, I have this. I have this. This is what I call it. This." And hey, I don't typically talk about that, but let me put something together. Or hey, this is in my wheelhouse. Let me refer to somebody else that would be more in
For
line
that.
with you. So that alone just allows the content to grow.
That's why I like how you do that. And Amy, this next subject you're going to love with him is a burnout. You are one. Andre's one big believer, and everything I've looked up on yourself, how you always talk about burnout and what that causes between everything, between families, between your
Mm,
work, between
mm.
your employees. And when do you know? Like when do you tell that person? Like when you go in and do these trainings, do people bring stuff like that up? Are they honest? Like I've seen you. I always watch your videos, and I know you like to role play. You do stuff like that, and do you get a lot of questions like that?
Um, yes, it comes typically in two forms because when I do the training at a company, most of the time an employee doesn't want to say that they're burnt out in front of their boss,
That's what I mean. Yeah,
or
yeah,
at work.
sure.
So
Yeah,
when I'm on the calls to do a training or set up a training or close a deal, they will tell me that their people are burning out or that they fear that they will.
right,
So the organization is aware enough of what they're asking from their people, that this is a concern or will be one soon. Why I like bringing my books to organizations is not because I want to sell books. I mean, that's
right.
always nice. When people have a book in their hand, they have a reason and an excuse to come up to you and talk to you.
Right. Wow, that's true.
That introverts aren't
Yeah,
going to do a cartwheel towards me. Okay, that's not how they are. That's not what they're going to do. But because they have a book that they may or may not ever read, they
right,
will come for the book signing afterwards, and that's when all the stories come out. When you're at a conference in between. That's why I'm big on pre and post stage. You don't get on the stage and run away or leave right away. That might be somebody's style. I don't mean to offend anybody if you do that. So many of the stories come when you stick around pre and post stage.
on the afterward.
And so burnout, I'm really big on one. It could be a gift, but it is hard. Um, a lot of it is knowing what the organization needs from you most right now. A lot of times we're burning out because we want to do what we want to do or what we're good at or what we used to do. And
Right.
although I understand that because I lived that, what does the organization need most from you right now? What's your current authority span? Um, you know, um, are you enhancing your superpower to either help fill gaps and do the new thing here or prepare for later?
Right.
Are you networking at your level and above with the three P's, those positive, passionate, and positive people, and positive people, productive people, excuse me, because the grouches recruit, and if they see you turning into one, they got you.
Well, I'll give
Yep.
you a hint with Amy. Amy will put in 100 hours a week. That one right there will put 7 days a week, 100 hours a week. Whew.
Well, when you're
Yeah.
passionate about things that you do, like you do what you have to do, and that's just it is what you do. And I think when you start on a Sunday feeling that feeling
Yep.
of dread to go to work on Monday, I think you really need to pay attention to that
Yeah. Yeah.
and really dive deep into it. Is it just a one-off? Is it a constant? Like, and then find out the why. Peel back that layer and find out the why. And is this how you want to work the next 30 years? Is that your goal? So I think that when you start really honing in on those questions and your feeling of it, for yourself, and then also I mean, as a leader, you've got to make sure you're paying attention to your employees,
Right.
know them and understand the normal behavior. And when you see that normal behavior change, you got to take notice and then start asking questions. Are they working too much? What can you do to help? Is it a
Yeah.
process improvement issue? Is it a management issue? Is it an employee issue? So there's a lot of layers you got to pull back, and I mean, at the end of the day, you want to make sure your team succeeds, and you got to give them the tools, the training to do that. So there's a lot of layers you got to peel back on that.
And two things too, like sometimes you have to tell your people no, and we have these inspired and motivated individuals that are willing to do more because either they believe in the vision, they don't want to come across as incompetent, and I can do it, whatever, or maybe they're in a stage of their life, and I've had to tell people on my team, no, just because you can do more doesn't mean you should be doing more.
Right.
One, and I'll be very honest, one, I don't want you to burn out. And number two, I don't want you to be doing so much that you can hold me professionally hostage in the future.
Right.
And I've said that to an employee, like, you're doing so much, you're doing the job of so many people that if something happened to you, that's not good for us. So now I have to decide, are you looking to be a leader, to teach somebody some of the things that you're doing? Or do we have to bring on somebody else to do some of what you can do? You mentioned, Amy, the word why. And one of the things in my formula for burnout is please marry your why while you're burning out. It's hard to find a new job. Okay?
It is.
Most people can't just quit cold turkey and say, I'm out of here. I mean, you can, but not everybody can afford that. So if you're not leaving anywhere, I tell anybody going through burnout, and I went through it, it is highly likely that your company is not barging down your door, waking you up at gunpoint, and dragging you into work.
Right.
Since that's not happening, and you are actively choosing to go in and collect the check once every 2 weeks, then please marry your why. Why are you showing up every day? And maybe it's because you like your team. Maybe because your clients are special to you. Maybe because you need a check once every 2 weeks. Yeah, whatever your why is or why you keep going, please marry that. And if you're not going to leave, find something good about it. Get positive, get passionate, get productive. And I remember burning out at one point, and I thought some of the things that they were doing were the dumbest things in the world. But I was, you know what? You want me to do that? Sure thing. I got it. I go and do that. I like my people, sure thing. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm going home to the wife I love, to the family I love, and I'm going to do my dang honest to make sure life outside of here is really great.
No, that's the truth, though. You've always talked about hard conversations in your books, and for a new leader or anybody to have that tough conversation. But it also goes the opposite way too. Is your employees to have that conversation with you as a leader.
Yes.
I will say in my career that I was nervous, not very so much now as I get older, but I didn't want to go to the manager. I was nervous. I didn't. It was like everybody would always say to you, they don't care. They don't care. They're not going to listen to you. But I wish I would have known now what I knew then, because now I feel like you said, and part of it, you need to confront it. You need to get out there, nip it in the butt, and if you could talk about that and the reason why.
Well, yeah. Being able to go to people and say, I call it the get great question.
Right.
Okay. I do not promise you're going to get the answer you want from your boss, your coach, your husband, your wife, but you're going to find out who you're working for and who you're spending time with. I promise you that.
Right.
And now you have a decision to make. So for me, the get great question says, hey, I can go to my boss and say, hey, boss, look, first off, I want to respect your time. Do you have a second to talk? Is this a good time to talk? Or can we schedule a time to talk? I have an idea that I want to run by you or a question I want to ask. Because we also have to, so many employees think that their boss has no problems, has no issues, is this robot, this machine, and can't wait to have tough conversations with you. I'm like, no, they're people. They're people just like you. They just get paid a little bit more.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
I want to respect their time because maybe they're not in the right state of mind to have this conversation with you.
Right.
So I want to respect, is now a good time or can we talk? Hey, I really want to be great or I have an idea about this and I wanted to know what you like. And I've said this 3 times already, what you like and anything you fine tune about. Hey, I'm noticing this over here. I would, have we thought of, or I like to do this. What do you always make them say something good first?
Right.
Give them the opportunity to say something good first. Mm-hmm. Then fine tune is a word that's on purpose. Fine tune means it suggests that your idea is good already.
Right.
You're willing to remove your ego to invite theirs in. Employees can also request one-on-ones. And I suggest that the flow is a little bit different when you're having the one-on-one and when you're requesting it. So I can come and say, hey, David, I would love to, I really like working here. I want to be a rock star here. I want to be so daggone good. I pull up, it's a freaking statue out there, I love to meet one-on-one with you. I know your time is busy. Once a week is a little too much. Maybe once every 3 weeks, once a month, maybe 20 minutes of your time. I love for it to go like this. So I always say the flow is, one, I want to thank you, David. I really enjoyed working here with the team. Over the past week, this happened. Say something good.
Right.
You know, this is something that I was thinking about. What do you like? Is there anything you fine tune? Hey, David, is there anything that you need from me? Like, so I want to make
Right.
sure that I'm on the right course, because you will, if you're interested in moving up and moving on,
Yep.
you do that best by making your boss look good.
Yeah.
So because I could be doing what I want, but if it's not what you need, I don't know the pressures and what the board is hitting you with and what your emails say. What is this something that you need? And that way, the one-on-one, you cannot assume that your leader is a good leader.
Right.
And you cannot assume that they're going to have a good and quality one-on-one session because they're your boss. You lead it. We could be a leader anywhere in the company. You lead it. And then they're like, man, that goes really good. I think I might do that with my other people.
Yeah, I love it, because in the military it was great when you used to be able to say, and I loved you. You were able to say permission to speak freely, and in that time frame right there, you could really see, you could cuss, you could say anything you wanted, but then after it was done, that was it. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, that was it. But you got your answer. And that was some of the sergeants and even higher ups, they would listen. And I remember being young like that. They took some of the ideas, but then at the end of the day, listen, we were told no. That's the way it was. We didn't go like, I don't remember going around complaining in the military, like, can't believe we didn't do it like that. We were just, no, no, that was it. But we were taught that way. That was the way we were taught.
Well, I watched my sons do it. Both of my sons play sports, and there was one
Oh yeah.
occasion where my older son, he played basketball and he wanted to start. He wanted the starting position, and I said, "You never lead with what you want,
Right.
or with what you feel like you deserve." Let me reframe. So I taught him, "Hey, coach, I really want to start. What is it that I have to do to make that happen?" Okay. So I was standing about 5 feet away. And his coach said what most leaders say, and I prepared him for that. Most leaders are going to say, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay? Hey,
Wrong.
boss, I really want that raise, or I want that promotion, or I like to head up that project, or I want to start, I wanted more time. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I said, son, you have to understand why they say that. Number one, you've been thinking about that question, not them.
Right.
Okay? They might be hungry. They might be hangry. They might gotta pee, and they're on their way to the bathroom. Maybe they don't think that you can handle their truth right now here in front of everybody. Who knows? So what you say, hey, I appreciate you saying that. I really do want to know. I love to set up some time later in the week, and if the answer is still the same, great. If not, I really want to know.
Right.
Most leaders are conflict averse. They don't want to have this tough conversation. So when you give them time and permission to tell you the truth and come up with a thought, and both of you aren't in your emotion of the minute,
Right.
now Tuesday at 2:00, we can sit down and both of us are in the space to hear what has to be said.
So, Amy, do you think that Mason sits there and says, "Coach, you got to have my dad in here. We got to get him in with the team"? I can imagine, because everything we talk about here, it's the same thing in football. It's the same thing with children. It's the same thing. I mean, you got to agree with that, Amy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing.
I mean, it just goes back to really, the approach and delivery. And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, kind of thing. But you've got to make sure that you are respectful of, the person who's asking you that question.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't like to be caught off guard. So I like to have time to reflect and make sure that I can articulate what I need to say. So, having that moment to say, look, let's meet in another week, and then we can talk about this more. but really making sure that you're honest too. So if they
Yeah.
really don't have a chance,
Right.
say it in a way that it's still going to be positive as much as you can, but don't lie, don't lie,
Yeah.
but make sure
They
that you
feel it.
give some suggestions and what they can do. So it's really what you can do, not what you can't do. So really having that mind frame of what you can do, and then making sure you're using the right words. You need to, you have to, you better. Those are fighting words. So making sure you know what, words matter. And when you talk
That's
about
true.
body language and the tone and communication, as a leader, it's really important to understand words are very important, but that's at the bottom of the ranking of communication. But they're very, very important. So be careful of your word choice and know that your tone, your body
Love it.
language, and words definitely matter.
Yeah.
But put some thought into it. Make sure that it's meaningful and helpful.
Yes.
That's it.
And Amy, I call it a cheat sheet. You mentioned do better. And I remember sitting in front of a boss one time and they were saying it was my final job as a therapist. And I prided myself on my paper, well, not at first, my paperwork though. I said I knew how to write it, I knew how to do this stuff. And for whatever reason, my supervisor at this time was just not like vibing my paperwork at all. And I was so frustrated because I'm like, well, I was the guy at my last spot, and maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Okay. And I remember saying, well, do you have an example? Like, do you have like a hard copy of something I could look at of what you do value so I can do that? And they said, no. And I'm like, So I remember then going to my coworkers and say, "Can I see yours?" And I think that's a lot of times as an employee front line. Sometimes we have to go to our people. And when I later got into sales, I went to every salesperson on the floor, my coworkers, and I said, "How do you sell? How do you sell? How do you sell?"
Yep.
And I encourage everybody listening, take advice from everybody, and then you can pick and form your
Pick what you want.
transformer. Like who?
Yep.
Because the person with the worst sales numbers doesn't mean they're worse at sales. They just may be in a different phase of their life where they don't care, or my kids are in college. I don't need to push that hard. My retirement's set. Maybe I'm about to, like, doesn't mean that their advice isn't worthy
Makes
because they
sense.
don't have the numbers. Like, they did know how to do it. They just don't care right now. So, but it was very disheartening when, okay, well, you're not being better. You're not being good enough, but then you have no cheat sheet of how to show somebody. Well, what does better look like? Tell me so I can do it. And when you don't have an answer like that,
Love
that's
it.
not leadership. So I love
They,
that you mentioned that, Amy.
I want you to bring up now, and I was like, oh my God, look at my list. You have a new app coming out. Amy, I love it. I love it. I love it. I think it's cool. I already signed up today on you. You go
Yes,
to it.
yes,
I
sir.
like that, Amy. Get this. So you go on there. He says, click on the link. So I'm like, because I watched a video and he shows the phone what to do, and you showed your family and all this, and then I'm like, click on that, put your email, your name in, and then he gets you with another video. He said, "Oh, you're not done yet. You're not done yet." I love it. Explain the app, Andre. I love it. That's a great
Well,
idea. I
thank
love it.
you so much. I'm so beyond happy and biased from it, but it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's called Ask Andre. So, in short, it's an AI chat GPT bot, and I'll explain
Right.
how it's different from chat GPT, where it marries all of my content from my 3 leadership books,
Love
my
it.
training program, my online program, everything that I've ever said, and it marries it with your leadership issue of the moment and gives you suggested solutions on that issue within seconds and more. Um, so how it's different from ChatGPT? I've used ChatGPT. Let's say I have an employee that keeps showing up late to work. What should I do? Or I have an employee that keeps making negative comments about new projects and meetings, or they're not meeting metrics. Um,
Love
whatever
it.
your situation, ChatGPT will give you the world's most popular answer. So it'll
Right.
scour the internet. It's going to give you an answer, and I am not putting it down. ChatGPT is going to give you a really good answer. It's not going to give you my answer.
Right. That's what I love. I
And
loved it.
thank you. And I've done it in voice mode, and I will say that I've fallen in love with the text mode when you type it in better because it does something that voice can't do. So one of the things that I'm big at, you heard me say positive, passionate, productive. I put in I sat down one night and thought of 15, 20 big incidents that I've lived through as an employee, as a leader.
I
Okay.
love that idea.
And I put it in, and at first it stops and says, wow, that's a powerful ask. Thank you for asking. Before we get started, what's your positive of the week? Before we start complaining about something, it forces gratitude. What's your positive of the week? And it says, it's really cool that your son is the starting quarterback. You must be a proud dad. And I'm like, oh, I am a proud dad. That's cool. Then it says, based on your ask, Andre says this from his book, this and this, and then bullet points. And whether it's in text form or whether it's in voice form, bullet points, do this, and this. Andre would suggest this, and this. Then it says, have I answered your question? It says, yes. He said, well, you know what it's time for? Activity time. Here are some reflection questions based on your ask.
Right.
Those reflection questions, I've had people test it right in front of me, and their eyes always kind of roll back a little bit because now you're thinking, huh. And then it says, well, would you like a script on how to talk to that person? It might sound something like boom, boom, boom. What do most leaders struggle with?
The communication. I mean, it's
Conflict.
Well, how do I now have it? I know that I have to have the conversation, but what the heck do I say?
right.
And a lot of leaders don't ask leadership questions because I'm too busy. The person I would ask, where are they? I don't want to feel like I don't know. There's so many reasons why you don't even ask the question alone. Now you got a script. Then it says, well, would you like a flow for that meeting? Would you like a 90-day plan? And it just,
Love it.
within seconds. And then you can download it and print it out. So really quick story. My wife came home from work one day and said, I have a direct report. It's doing really great. And my bosses at the top, they're seeming like this. And I feel like I need to protect them.
Right.
I said, well, would you mind asking Andre? We're driving in the car as a family. She asked us in voice mode.
I'd be saying it all day. Ask Andre.
The thing said it's so great, bullet point. My wife's eyebrow went up. Guys, I get paid nicely to speak around the world and give advice. I've never made my wife's eyebrow go up with my leadership advice. Okay? Her eyebrow went up. And what I noticed was, because there's no emotion attached to it, because there's no judgment, there's no drama between it, you could just have a conversation ongoing in text or voice. Gave it to my son, quarterback. What do I do when my team is facing adversity? Boom, boom, boom. I said, because I'm big on work-life harmony.
Right.
How can my wife come home to me better after work? Like, how can I be better for her returning home from work? And it said, instead of asking her how her day is from the 5 points of the day, say simply, I'm happy to see you. I'm glad to see you.
Oh, geez. Now you're going to be saying to Amy, I'm going to say it tomorrow. That's it. Of everything I learned tonight, I'm telling you, tomorrow I'm going to say that. I swear.
Her eyes changed. So I absolutely love it because it gets to be in your pocket and it allows leaders to be better for themselves, for their people, for their organization, and in their personal lives as well. Within seconds, I'm blown away by it.
That is awesome.
And I have to say, my team has done because I come up with the idea, but what it has taken to pull this off, shouts out to them. Absolutely amazing.
I got one more subject here because we're hitting 48 minutes. You know what? An hour on this show goes so fast with him. I've done it to where it was like an hour and a half, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I watch a show on a whole hour. This one here, I really thought about you a lot. Is when you talk about the new generations, throughout, versus like, I'm 59, so I mean my generation at work, and we didn't have all this stuff. You didn't have your phones, and you just had to learn. We didn't have the people coming to us teaching us that I don't know, man. It was in that paper industry, boy, man. People would be banging down your door with a union. They would be saying it was hard, and I was a kid out of the military. But my point there is, how do you, when you do your trainings even, and there was a new one today I just found out. It's the silent generation. Did you know what that one is? I didn't know that.
Heard of it, yes.
Yeah, 1928 to 1945. Wow. But when you talk about the baby boomers, millennials, how do you teach four of those in one, and try to convince of one thing, if you know what I mean?
Sure. I will say that I do what I believe is what I do is universal. I don't attempt to compartmentalize their age, race,
Right.
gender, and I'm not saying there's not a value to that. I don't. What I believe in my process, whether it's writing videos or speaking and training, is number one, this is what we're talking about. This is why we're talking about it. And
Right.
then I love to ask the audience, what do you want to get out of it? Because everybody's here for something.
For
And
depth
I'd be
something.
criminal for you to walk out of here and not get what you came for. If you're going to listen to me speak for 90 minutes, sometimes I speak for 4 hours at a training, and it's interactive. What do you want to get? And I can tell you either it's in there, I can customize on the fly, or I will
Right.
literally give you my email address and we'll speak afterwards. And then I'm never surprised by the amount of hands that come up. Hey, I want to know this, or I'd like to be better at that. Okay, I get to say it's in there, or I customize, or hey.
Right.
So that right there really helps. And then I believe the format is this is what we're talking about. This is why we're talking about it. I told you the question I asked. But then it's interactive with a story. So if I'm teaching about something, well, this is what we're talking about it, why we're talking about it. This is what happened to me. And then this is what you do about it. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
And then there's a break to say, okay, well, what was your biggest takeaway? And what would you like to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So really pausing in between concepts to say, what was your biggest takeaway? It doesn't have to be my biggest takeaway or what I thought was important. And whatever that biggest takeaway is for you, can you please take out your phone, not waste your epiphany, and
Right.
put a plan of what you're going to do into your calendar with notifications and alerts? Because busy is about to kick your butt as soon as you get out of here.
Andre, the one thing that I've noticed is, when you have stories to tell, personal stories or, work stories that are relatable to said subject, that really hones in on and gives the audience the true measure of what you're talking about. So it's not a hypothetical. It's not what if. It literally
Yeah.
happened, and this is how it unfolded. And so, the engagement and conversation is so much more and so much more powerful. And
Yes.
in the they seem to get it and understand, and it's collective. So I just think personal stories, and I have a whole lot of stories that I share, a lot.
and,
So
and
it's
when you
powerful.
and I, as the expert up there training, can be vulnerable enough to tell the stories of our mistakes. I did
Absolutely.
this. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Instead, bop, bop, bop. And now you're a human being to them. Now you're not just this know-it-all. Like I've been through it, just like you've been, and I just get to now teach it.
Yeah, and you just learn, but because I've learned, like, it's hard. I always say, I'm not as much into management now. I've kind of taken the lead out of that now for now in this part of my life, because I would always say, wow, what would I do when I'm not gonna, I will say the age bracket, like say the younger ones, what would I say to them now versus what would I say to someone my own age? And it comes down to thinking, I mean, you even say, you choose your words, because words are going to be different from a 25-year-old, 30, a 50, a 60-year-old. I believe that I would have to talk to them differently in a way, but then I like what you said. It's got to be the same too. You
Yeah,
can't break up your
I
message.
I don't talk to them differently. What I do is I use their language as much as
Right.
possible. And when I talk about those 7 languages, even, are you goody time? Are you quality minutes and need a few minutes of conversation that have nothing to do with work? Are you recognition and affirmation? Are you knowledge and or advancement, incentives,
Right.
flexibility, and respect? Once I know your top two, I can lead with that. I don't want you to be different. As a leader, the job is hard enough.
Right.
Now I have to morph to whoever you are. So I might get to say, especially in a difficult conversation, hey, Amy, you remember that time when I said I might have to ask some questions and might have to say something that's hard to hear, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't. Okay. You ready? Hey, you've been doing good with this. You mentioned your language was incentives and flexibility. It's going to be hard for us to continue to be so flexible with you coming in at 10:45 every day. Can you help me to understand what's going on with that?
I
And I
like
think
that.
it's
I know.
powerful
Yeah. No.
on the understanding the why. because everybody has a reason. Everyone does something for a reason, and peeling back that layer and asking those questions can help gauge on how that conversation is going to flow. Doesn't mean it's going to change the outcome of it, but the approach and delivery
Right.
will definitely be affected on that.
That is something.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. Well, I'll tell you, I want to again, man. That this an hour went fast, and I love you come on here once a year. I enjoy it, and I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to order the pre-order. You can pre-order the book now. I know,
Yes,
and
sir.
you said October 21st, right?
Yes, that's the release date.
Because I saw it on Amazon. You can pre-order it. It's on
Yep.
there. Again, if you could just tell us about yourself again, Andre, and talk about what you got going on. And again, thank you so much for coming on. I love this. And Amy, I know you've got to love this also. He's great, isn't he? It's just great to
Yes.
talk to.
Well, Amy's a rock star. I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear more of Amy. And
Yep.
in closing, guys, I am Andre Young, professional speaker, author, and leadership trainer. I do have three leadership books:
Yep.
7 Ways to Lead, The Leader's Toolbox, and the new release on October 21st is The Complete Leader, and the Ask Andre AI Pocket Leadership Coach will release on the 21st of October as well. However,
Okay.
if you are on the wait list,
Yes, I am.
October 2nd will be your day. October 2nd,
Right.
everybody on the wait list will get it weeks before everyone else.
All right. I get it 1 week. Hey, real quick though, in a minute, break down what was your new book about? What is it about? Where you say, compared to the other one, 7 Ways to Lead and The Complete Leader. Is it just going to be just something new, or you look at putting different things together, or
Sure. Well, The Complete Leader is sprinkled with some stuff from the other books because there's some things that are just so
right?
invaluable that they need to be in The Complete Leader. However, there's other things like a leader's assessment. Like, how are we assessing teams under us and the leaders? Because one of the laziest questions that I loathe is, well, how's your team doing? Oh, that's a damn good question. So we talk about different things with that. A leader's
Love
hats,
it.
like the 5 hats that all leaders must wear and wear well. Like, so sometimes you come into work and you got your therapist hat on. Something horrible has happened to somebody. You turn the corner, you got to put your party hat on because somebody's son just became the starting quarterback.
Yep.
Then you turn
Love
the
it.
corner, you got to put your sparring hat on because Mike Tyson is mad and they're right about something. So you got to take some lumps. How do you wear these hats? A leader's succession.
Okay.
Like, you talk about being a complete leader, at some point you got to go. And whether it's you're getting promoted on or you're going to retire, it's your time to go. How do you go like a leader? I wrote down some notes too. Like, how do you break up cliques at work? You're a leader. Cliques are
Right.
going to happen. And when
Yeah.
that clique is now cancerous to your organization, how
Yeah.
do you do that effectively? Off-hour work. There's so many leaders and employees. They're so busy being busy that they're working at their son's game or they're on the beach
Yeah.
and all of
Yep.
that. And a lot of times, I will say in closing, it's all about the 5 types of employees, from the inspired and motivated to your grouch. Most leaders believe that the grouches will
Right.
hurt the culture the most. And I'm here to say, guys, typically you don't have enough grouches to sink the ship. It's your inspired and motivated that can create an environment of toxicity,
Love it.
because it's not intentional. But when they take work home and they're emailing on a Saturday and CCing people and they're on the phone at the beach, the people around, especially the younger generation, you talk about generations, are looking and say, why would I want to be you?
Exactly.
As a
Exactly.
leader, it is your job, our job, to sell our position. And we can't effectively sell our position when we're on our 4th marriage and 3rd heart attack because we're so stressed out about everything that we've done.
Right.
So a lot of the book is all about
Love
being a leader. And it's the most complete leadership book that I put together.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Andre and Amy. Thanks as always. You'll be back on Wednesday, and I'm going to play this video and we'll talk after this. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.